An historic hearing before the U.S. Supreme Court today involving a 13-year-old murder case out of Kalamazoo County.
News 8's Jacqueline Francis listened in on that hearing and explains how the case made its way to the highest court in the land. Jacqueline?
Ryan and Sue, Irvine Davenport was found guilty of murdering a Kalamazoo woman in 2008. The jury sentencing him to life in prison without parole. But he's now challenging that conviction, saying that his constitutional rights were violated, taking the case before the U.S. Supreme Court. It's been 13 years since a Kalamazoo jury sentenced Irvine Davenport to life without parole in the killing of Annette White. Since then, his case has made its way to the highest court in the land, argued before the U.S. Supreme Court this morning.
We'll hear argument first this morning in case 2826, Brown versus Davenport.
The issue has to do with a mistake made during Davenport's 2008 trial. The defendant appearing before the jury wearing shackles, a violation of his civil rights.
How the government will handle that when they basically are caught in a mistake. They have to admit that they committed an error. What they'll claim is that it's harmless error, and that's what happened here.
Davenport's defense argued otherwise, going back and forth with Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh.
Well, what about the fact that all the jurors testified that the shackles did not influence the verdict?
Relying on juror testimony as to whether the effect of shackles affected their verdict is unreliable, because a juror will not always be aware of the effect of seeing a defendant in shackles. It has sort of a subconscious effect on the jurors.
The case was recently picked up by the U.S. Supreme Court after a federal appeals court ruled last year to set aside Davenport's conviction because of the error. It's now up to them to decide whether the appeals court was acting within its authority in doing so. Arguing on behalf of the state, Michigan Solicitor General Fadwa Hammoud asked the justices to reverse the appeals court ruling, requesting more clarity around the statutes moving forward.
I suspect every federal judge in the nation would benefit from articulating the standard and clarifying this language. And that is why we believe that it's important that this court articulate, because this question has not been asked and it's not been in front of this court before.
Hammoud making history as the first Arab American Muslim woman to ever argue before the U.S. Supreme Court, saying, quote, "On a personal level, this is the highlight of my career, and I'm deeply honored that the state and the Attorney General have entrusted me with this argument before the highest court in the land." The Cooley law professor we spoke with expects the court to rule in favor of the state, but should they rule in favor of the defendant, then Davenport would be granted a new trial. At the live desk, Jacqueline Francis, News 8.